with Ceausescu in Romania or Stalin or Hitler or Mao or any of these thugs and dictators, Pol Pot, pick your poison. I've seen a lot of police writing me letters, and they say, yeah, it's coming to the point where they're going to have to make decisions, and when government goes bad, it's no longer legitimate, and it's natural, God-given rights for people to defend themselves. And what I've been shocked by is the level of anger of the public cheering this guy on, and it's real. It's not provocateur. I wonder if the government, and I mean the minions that are going to be facing the true brunt of this, realize what 150 million gun owners, 16 million guns sold in the last year, 14 million last year, already more than 2 million this year, realize that if 1% of that 150 million decide to stand up and fight, that is 1.5 million people that are, I mean, that's unstoppable. Don't the globalists understand that they may have put us to sleep for a while, but those old American 1776 instincts are there, and that if the sleeping giant stands up and it's starting to get up, it's going to be devastating. I mean, and it's going to be hell on earth.
It's going to be cultural and tribal. 450 million guns, 80 million veterans, 40 million that have been in combat. Don't anybody tangle with them if it comes to that.
It's bad news. You know, the military puts up the line, we'll crush the American people. Folks, no one can stop a guerrilla army of this size. We got Mike Rivero popping in for about 10 minutes with Bob Chapman on the kamikaze attack and the latest developments and get his perspective that I tend to agree with on a lot of fronts. Too early to tell right now, though. We're going to get his view coming up. Bob, right now, and then when Mike leaves us, we'll get back into the economy. What's going on with the economy? Months ago, you said they were going to target Greece and Spain. The word was out. Now Reuters is reporting that the Spanish government is looking at this being coordinated by Goldman Sachs and others. Again, you hit the nail right on the head. What's going on with the dollar? Interest rates going up. What's happening with gold going back up? What do you see happening?
Well, first of all, I wrote about Goldman 10 years ago when Greece and Italy were trying to qualify, and the term I used was they're Mickey Mousing the books. And the rest of the Eurozone at that time, which today only makes up 16 of the 27 European Union members, they looked the other way. They wanted that union, and so they got it. And those books have been phony all along. And as we have found out, it's been proven now that Goldman Sachs arranged the whole thing. Where is it going? I think it creates a sense of urgency now. I think things are starting to come unglued even more quickly than I had anticipated. I think there's a possibility that they may bring down a number of these countries' sovereign debt prior to the election, and it may include the United States. And if they do that, there may not be an election. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I don't want to give these people any ideas, but that would be the perfect thing to do to get control. And so that's possible. Whether it's probable, I don't know at this point. But there are a number of countries that are on the edge. We've got Ireland, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Greece, which we know about. And then nobody ever hears about Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Romania, Hungary, Poland.
And that will send debt shockwaves a lot bigger than the housing bubble throughout the planet. Meanwhile, the Chinese are already moving and dumping their U.S. T-bills.
That's correct. And even Denmark's having problems. Of course, the two worst, really, for their size, is Great Britain and the United States. Now, I think what government wanted to do, or those behind government wanted to do, is after the election, start these things going by taking all of these countries to the edge, and then having a meeting like they did with Smithsonian and the Plaza Accord and the Louvre Accord, and devalue currencies, and have a debt default between nations, and everybody falls off a cliff together, and we have everybody devaluing their currencies, or most everybody, and then we go into a deflationary depression, which they want to, from behind the scenes, people like Goldman and Morgan and Citigroup and all of those people and the Bilderbergers and all those groups, they would then try to suppress the people of the world, quote, legally, while they were on their knees financially and economically.
Let's expand. Let's expand on that. We now see open discussions of devaluation of the dollar, and we also, as you talked about last week, they're talking about coming in and taking people's pension funds, the government taking over people's pension funds, then paying you part of it back. The neocons are pushing for new taxes as if that's a good thing.
No, I don't think taxes are the answer. The real answer is to cut government spending all over the country, not just in Washington. I mean, let's cut it by 50%. So you got to lay off 30% of your employees. Well, that's too bad. This is really the solution: purging all of those banks and insurance companies and brokerage firms and transnational conglomerates.
And let's explain that, though. All the studies show one government job costs 2 private sectors. So you get rid of the government jobs, a lot of them. Then you get 2 jobs back for every job you get rid of there, and people have their own tax money. That would fix it.
It's going to happen sooner or later, and they know it. They want it on their terms so they can control it, so they can make people do what they want to do under those circumstances. And that's why all the things that you talk about in regard to what's going on in America about Homeland Security and you can't put bars in your windows and all of these things, that is because they know the public is going to be very, very disturbed about all this, and who knows what they'll do.
Stay there. Bob Chapman, our guest, straight ahead, joining us, Mike Rivero.